Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. 1971 stands as a timeless cinematic masterpiece, blending musical wonder, whimsical storytelling, and a touch of dark humor that captivated generations, creating a world of pure imagination unlike any other. In this video, we journey back to meet the talented cast who opened the gates to the mysterious factory and pay tribute to the actors who have sadly passed away. From Gene Wilder's mesmerizing performance as the Candyman to the unforgettable supporting stars who brought Roald Dahl's characters to life, we honor their contributions and celebrate the sweet legacy they left behind. Join us as we remember the stars who made Willy Wonka an enduring classic of family entertainment. Gene Wilder, born June 11, 1933, immortalized the role of the eccentric confectioner Willy Wonka in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory 1971 at the age of 38, delivering a performance of such erratic brilliance that it frightened the child actors on set. While the film initially underperformed, Wilder's compensation was substantial for a rising comedic star, estimated at approximately $150,000 for the film, a figure that possessed tremendous purchasing power in the early 1970s. Adjusted for inflation, this amount would equal nearly $1.1 million today, sufficient to purchase 3 median-priced family homes in the suburban Connecticut area where he resided. Yet it was a fraction of the back-end points that actors in successful franchises command in the modern era. His life behind the laughter was scarred by profound medical trauma and emotional devastation. He watched his third wife, Gilda Radner, suffer a horrific, agonizing death from stage 4 ovarian cancer in 1989, a psychological wound that never fully healed. Physically, Wilder faced his own mortality when he was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma in 1999, forcing him to undergo an excruciating autologous stem cell transplant in 2000, a procedure that required high-dose chemotherapy to destroy his bone marrow before rebooting his immune system, leaving him in fragile isolation for months. His final years were stolen by the silent, creeping progression of Alzheimer's disease, which eroded his hippocampus and memories, while he kept the diagnosis secret to preserve the world's image of him as the eternal Candyman. He died on August 29, 2016, in Stamford, Connecticut, at the age of 83 due to complications from the disease. His remains were cremated, and his ashes are kept privately by his family in Stamford, Connecticut. Fun fact: Wilder accepted the role of Wonka on one condition: that he be allowed to limp out of the factory and then suddenly somersault, purely so no one would know when he was lying for the rest of the film. His legacy remains the gold standard for eccentric genius in cinema. From the whimsical chocolatier now to the sinister spy, a villain whose on-screen darkness masked a life of artistic dedication and historical resilience. Günter Meissner, born April 18, 1926, took on the role of the menacing Mr. Slugworth in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, 1971, at the age of 45, crafting a character so unsettling that his whispering presence became the stuff of childhood nightmares. As a German character actor working in an American production filmed in Munich, his salary was likely a modest flat fee, estimated between $3,000 and $5,000 total, a sum that highlights the disparity of the era. While this amount could barely purchase a basic Volkswagen Beetle in 1971, it was a vital lifeline in the economic reality of West Germany, where the cost of living was rising, but acting wages for non-leads remained stagnant. His personal history was etched with the physical toll of 20th-century Europe's darkest hours, growing up in the ruinous aftermath of World War I and surviving the starvation and aerial bombardments of World War II. His body carried the long-term stress of early malnutrition and the constant adrenaline of survival. In his later years, this manifested as severe cardiovascular decline. He suffered from chronic heart failure, a condition where the heart muscle slowly weakens and loses its ability to pump blood efficiently, leading to fluid retention in the lungs and exhausting fatigue that made completing scenes physically grueling. Despite this, he continued to work until the very end, his heart finally giving out during a filming schedule. He died on December 5, 1994, in Berlin, Germany, at the age of 68, due to heart failure. He was laid to rest at Waldfriedhof Heerstrasse Cemetery in Berlin, Germany. Fun fact: despite his terrifying role as the child-corrupting spy, Slugworth Meisner was actually a bilingual sculptor and director who founded the Gallery Diogenes in Berlin, and his villainy was merely a test of Charlie's integrity. His legacy is proving that the scariest obstacles are often disguised blessings. From the sinister spy now to the bedridden believer, an Academy Award winner battling a devastating secret beneath his nightgown. Jack Albertson, born June 16, 1907, took on the role of the energetic Grandpa Joe in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, 1971, at the age of 64, bringing a vaudevillian charm that masked the actor's high-status pedigree as an Oscar winner. Despite his prestige, his compensation for the film was a modest estimated flat fee of $25,000 to $30,000, a sum that, while seemingly low for a star of his caliber, held significant weight in 1971. It possessed the purchasing power of approximately $200,000 today, enough to purchase a comfortable retirement bungalow in the Hollywood Hills, or cover the tuition for an Ivy League education, yet it paled in comparison to the millions earned by sitcom stars just a decade later. His final years were ravaged by a brutal and concealed battle with colorectal cancer, a disease that wreaked havoc on his digestive system. Diagnosed in 1978, he endured the agony of a colostomy and the debilitating side effects of primitive chemotherapy, which caused severe neuropathy and muscle-wasting cachexia. Despite the excruciating abdominal pain and profound fatigue, he continued to film Chico and the Man, relying on adrenaline and painkillers to mask his deterioration from the live audience. He died on November 25, 1981, in Los Angeles, California, at the age of 74, succumbing to the cancer's metastasis. His remains were cremated and his ashes were scattered in the Pacific Ocean. Fun fact: before acting, Albertson was a professional hoofer dancer in burlesque halls, which is why he insisted on doing the physically taxing "I've got a golden ticket" dance himself without a stunt double. His legacy is the eternal hope that life can begin again at any age. From the bedridden believer now to the saintly mother, the quiet anchor of the family who bore the burden of survival and outlived them all. Diana Sowell, born June 19, 1930, portrayed Mrs. Bucket in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, 1971, at the age of 40, delivering a performance of understated grace that grounded the film's fantasy in the harsh reality of poverty. As a relatively unknown character actor in a supporting role, her financial compensation was incredibly stark, estimated at a mere $1,500 to $2,000 total for the entire shoot. In the economic context of 1971, this amount could barely cover a new mid-range sedan or a year's worth of modest groceries for a family of 4, reflecting the harsh wage gap for maternal supporting roles compared to the male leads. Her life was marked by the transient high-stress existence of a CIA wife. Her husband, Bill Sowell, served in intelligence, forcing the family into a life of constant movement and secrecy that paralleled the quiet resilience of her character. Physically, her later years were defined by the slow, inexorable frailty of advanced longevity. She suffered from the systemic decline associated with nonagenarians, including the weakening of the immune system and the progressive loss of mobility, sarcopenia, which eventually led to the breakdown of vital organ functions. She died on November 19, 2018 in Washington, D.C. at the age of 88, the last surviving adult cast member leaving behind a legacy of endurance. She was laid to rest at Arlington National Cemetery in Virginia, USA, alongside her husband. Fun fact: her signature song in the film Cheer Up, Charlie is the only song from the original score that was cut from all theatrical re-releases due to its slow tempo, yet she performed it live for fans until her 80s. Her legacy is the unsung strength of mothers everywhere, from the saintly mother now to the wealthy enabler, a beloved buffoon whose life ended in a shocking on-set tragedy that rewrote safety laws. Roy Kinnear, born January 8, 1934, portrayed the indulgent tycoon Henry Salt in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory 1971 at the age of 37, utilizing his signature jittery energy to embody the archetype of spoiled parenting. As a highly in-demand British character actor, his fee was likely in the range of $4,000 to $5,000, approximately $10,000, $12,000 USD at the time, a significant sum in pre-inflation 1970s Britain that carried the purchasing power to buy a substantial detached home in the London commuter belt or 3 brand-new Jaguar E-Types. Yet it was a flat fee that offered no long-term royalties as the film became a cult classic. His life ended in a horrific preventable catastrophe. While filming The Return of the Musketeers in Spain in 1988, he fell from a horse, sustaining a shattered pelvis. The traumatic injury caused severe internal hemorrhaging, placing immense strain on his cardiovascular system. The sheer physical shock and blood loss triggered a massive heart attack the following day, a medical cascade that contemporary trauma care might have managed, but which proved fatal in the local hospital. He died on September 20, 1988, in Madrid, Spain, at the age of 54, a victim of lax safety standards. He was laid to rest at Putney Vale Cemetery in London, England. Fun fact: his tragic death directly led to his family suing the production company, resulting in a landmark settlement that permanently enforced stricter safety regulations for actors working with animals in Europe. His legacy lives on through his son, actor Rory Kinnear. From the wealthy enabler now to the complicit wife, a towering figure of British comedy, silenced by a suffocating respiratory thief. Pat Coombs, born August 27, 1926, took on the role of the shrill, passive Henrietta Salt in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory 1971, at the age of 44, using her distinctively angular features and impeccable timing to play the foil to Kinnear's bluster. A staple of British television, her compensation was likely a standard supporting rate of roughly $2,000 approx. $5,000 USD, a modest paycheck that, while low by Hollywood standards, represented a solid middle-class annual wage in the UK at the time, sufficient to cover the rent of a fashionable London flat for 2 years, highlighting the disparity between working actors and movie stars. Her later life was a harrowing battle against the slow suffocation of emphysema, a chronic obstructive pulmonary disease where the air sacs, alveoli, and the lungs are irreversibly destroyed. This condition gradually stripped away her ability to breathe, leading to chronic hypoxia, low oxygen levels that left her frail skeletal and constantly exhausted, a cruel irony for a woman known for her vocal energy and physical comedy. She fought this debilitating illness privately, maintaining her dignity, even as her lung capacity diminished to critical levels. She died on May 25, 2002, in Northwood, London, at the age of 75, succumbing to the respiratory failure. She was laid to rest at Breakspear Crematorium in Ruislip, London. Fun fact: Coombs was rarely the villain. She was beloved in the UK for playing the downtrodden spinster sidekick in sitcoms, making her turn as the snooty Mrs. Salt a rare and delightful departure. Her legacy is proving that the funniest women often have the most fragile hearts. From the complicit wife now to the fast-talking politician, a master of the reaction shot whose final curtain fell just hours before his celebration. Leonard Stone, born November 3, 1923, became the car-dealing, smooth-talking Sam Beauregard in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, 1971, at the age of 48, delivering a rapid-fire performance that satirized American consumerism perfectly. As a veteran American character actor, his salary was governed by Screen Actors Guild minimums of the era, likely totaling around $4,000 to $6,000 for the location shoot. While this seems negligible today, in 1971, it had the purchasing power of nearly $45,000, enough to purchase 2 luxury Cadillacs, or put a substantial down payment on a home in the San Fernando Valley, though it lacked the residual structures that would have made him wealthy from the film's TV replays. His end came after a long, grueling battle with cancer, a systemic malignancy that metastasized in his late 80s. The disease caused severe cachexia, muscle wasting, and compromised his immune system, leading to a slow, painful decline where palliative care became the only option to manage the breakthrough pain of terminal oncology. Tragically, he passed away just 1 day before what would have been his 88th birthday, missing the milestone by mere hours. He died on November 2, 2011 in Encinitas, California, at the age of 87 due to complications from cancer. He was laid to rest at Westwood Memorial Park in Los Angeles, California. Fun fact, Stone was the only adult winner who didn't hold a golden ticket in his hand during the "I've Got a Golden Ticket" song. He waved the newspaper instead, a continuity error he loved to point out to fans. His legacy is the immortal line, "Violet, you're turning. Violet, Violet." From the fast-talking politician now to the clueless geography enthusiast, a small-town mother whose fading memory became a tragic reality off-screen. Nora Denny, born September 19, 1927, portrayed Mrs. TV, the geography-challenged mother of the television-obsessed Mike, in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, 1971, at the age of 44, delivering the film's most memorable line of accidental ignorance regarding where chocolate comes from. As a working character actor credited as Dodo Denny, her compensation for the role was a standard supporting rate likely totaling between $3,500 and $5,000. While this figure seems trivial today in 1971, it possessed the purchasing power of approximately $35,000, a sum that could purchase a brand-new Ford Gran Torino station wagon, with enough left over to cover a year's worth of mortgage payments on a modest California ranch home, providing a critical safety net for a working actress. Her final years were shrouded in the pain of a terminal cancer diagnosis, a disease that relentlessly metastasized through her body. She endured the systemic ravages of late-stage malignancy, where the uncontrolled proliferation of cancer cells invades vital organs, leading to cachexia, a wasting syndrome that strips the body of muscle and adipose tissue, and severe breakthrough pain that required heavy sedation in her final weeks of hospice care. She died on November 20, 2005, in the San Bernardino Mountains, California, at the age of 78, succumbing to the disease's toll. She was laid to rest at Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Hollywood Hills, California. Fun fact: in the film, she identifies the musical code to the chocolate room as Rachmaninoff, causing Mrs. TV to appear cultured yet confused, a choice Denny improvised to highlight the character's pretension. Her legacy is the reminder that sometimes being wrong is more memorable than being right. From the clueless enthusiast now to the Bavarian enabler, a cabaret star whose laughter hid the physical toll of a life lived in post-war reconstruction. Ursula Wright, born March 5, 1914, took on the role of Mrs. Gloop in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, 1971, at the age of 57, bringing a distinctly European theatricality to the mother of the gluttonous Augustus. As a German actress hired locally for the Munich-based production, her salary was likely paid in Deutsche Marks, estimated at $10,000 DM to $12,000 DM, roughly $3,000, $300 to $600 USD at the time. In the economic context of 1971, West Germany, this was a respectable middle-class sum capable of covering the annual rent for a spacious apartment in Munich, or purchasing a high-end Volkswagen Beetle, representing a significant financial win in a recovering economy. Her later life was marked by the silent progression of cardiovascular decline, a common ailment for her generation, that survived the extreme stress and malnutrition of W-find Europe. She likely suffered from atherosclerosis, a condition where plaque builds up inside the arteries, hardening the vessel walls and restricting blood flow, which eventually places an unsustainable load on the heart muscle, leading to sudden cardiac arrest, or systemic failure, where the heart simply lacks the strength to perfuse the organs. She died on November 9, 1998, in Munich, Germany at the age of 84, passing away relatively young due to these natural causes. She was laid to rest in Munich, Germany. Fun fact, Wright was actually a renowned cabaret singer and stage performer in Germany, and she struggled with the English lines so much that she had to learn them phonetically. Yet her delivery of "he will not eat himself, he is not a hot dog" became iconic. Her legacy is proving that motherly love is universal, even when it's misguided. From the Bavarian enabler now to the cynical scientist, a master of deadpan comedy whose heart missed the final beat. David Batley, born November 5, 1935, portrayed the acerbic schoolteacher Mr. Turkentine in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, 1971, at the age of 36, creating a cult, following with his bizarre lecture on percentages and explosive distinctiveness. A staple of British comedy, his fee for the brief but memorable appearance was likely a modest daily rate totaling perhaps $750 to $1,000. In 1971, London, this amount had the purchasing power to cover roughly 4 months of rent in a decent flat, or buy 4,000 pints of beer, a working-class paycheck, for a jobbing actor that offered no back-end security. His life was cut short by a sudden and massive heart attack, a physiological catastrophe known as a myocardial infarction. This occurs when a coronary artery becomes completely blocked by a ruptured cholesterol plaque, starving the heart muscle of oxygen ischemia and causing irreversible necrosis tissue death within minutes. The resulting electrical instability sends the heart into ventricular fibrillation, a chaotic rhythm that stops blood flow to the brain, leading to rapid unconsciousness and death before intervention is possible. He died on January 20, 2003, in London, England at the age of 67, leaving a void in the British comedy community. He was laid to rest in London, England. Fun fact, Batley's dry, monotone delivery was so unique that he became a major influence on the comedic style of Monty Python member Eric Idle, who frequently cast him in later projects to harness that specific weird energy. His legacy is the lesson that the most memorable teachers are often the strangest ones. From the cynical scientist now to the prophetic wanderer, a mysterious figure who delivered the film's moral compass in a single scene. Peter Capell, born May 3, 1912, portrayed the Tinker, the nomadic tradesman who speaks the film's first ominous warning to Charlie in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, 1971, at the age of 59. As a German actor working in his native Munich, his role was a brief but crucial cameo. His compensation was likely a standard day player fee of approximately 500 to 800 Deutsche Marks, roughly $150 to $240 USD at the time. While this sum appears negligible in modern finance, barely enough to purchase a high-end transistor radio or a few weeks of groceries in 1971, Bavaria, it represented the humble reality of local talent supporting a massive American production, a paycheck that kept the lights on in a city still rebuilding its cultural identity. His life was etched with the profound trauma of 20th century Europe. Having survived the rise of the Third Reich and the devastation of World War II, he carried the invisible scars of a generation that witnessed the total collapse of society. In his final years, his health deteriorated due to chronic cardiovascular strain, a common affliction for men of his era who endured wartime malnutrition and high-stress reconstruction. The heart muscle gradually loses its contractility, leading to congestive failure, where the body struggles to oxygenate tissues, resulting in profound fatigue and breathlessness. He died on March 3, 1986 in Munich, Germany, at the age of 73, his prophetic voice finally silenced. He was laid to rest in Munich, Germany. Fun fact: Capel was a prolific voice actor who dubbed thousands of American films into German meaning for millions of Germans. He was the voice of Hollywood stars like Humphrey Bogart. His legacy is the haunting line, "Nobody ever goes in, and nobody ever comes out." From the prophetic wanderer now to the skeptical authority. A man who made a career of playing the enemy, but found immortality in a candy bar diagnosis. Victor Beaumont, born November 7, 1912, took on the role of the Doctor, who confirms the golden ticket find in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory 1971 at the age of 59, lending an air of clinical gravitas to the frenzy. A Berlin-born actor who fled to Britain, his compensation for this minor speaking role was likely a union-mandated session fee of around $50 to $75 approx. $120, $180 USD. While a pittance by Hollywood standards in 1971 London, this amount possessed the purchasing power to buy a bespoke suit on Savile Row, or cover a month's rent in a boarding house, reflecting the working-class nature of character acting. His personal history was defined by the cruel irony of typecasting. Despite fleeing Nazi Germany, his sharp features and accent meant he was perpetually cast as Nazi officers and villains in British war films, a psychological burden that forced him to constantly wear the uniform of his oppressors for a paycheck. His physical decline was precipitated by the sudden onset of cerebrovascular or cardiovascular disease common in men of his demographic. Such events often involve the rupture of an atherosclerotic plaque, triggering a thrombosis that blocks blood flow to vital centers in the brain or heart, leading to rapid systemic shutdown. He died on March 21, 1977, in London, England, at the age of 64, passing away just 6 years after the film's release. He was laid to rest in London, England. Fun fact: Beaumont appeared in the classic The Guns of Navarone, but in Wonka, he plays one of the few adults who doesn't try to cheat or scold Charlie, simply confirming the miracle. His legacy is the validation of a child's dream. From the skeptical authority now to the frustrated technician, a comedy legend whose final punchline was stolen by a global pandemic. Tim Brooke Taylor, born July 17, 1940, portrayed the flustered computer operator in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory 1971 at the age of 31, providing a moment of slapstick levity as he tried to locate the remaining tickets. At the time, he was a rising star in British comedy, yet his fee for this uncredited cameo was likely a nominal $30 to $50 approx. $75 or $125 USD, a beer money sum that would have covered a few rounds of drinks at a London pub or a train ticket to the coast, serving mostly as a favor to the casting director before his career skyrocketed. His death was a tragic headline of the modern era. He fell victim to the first wave of the COVID-19 pandemic. The virus triggered a severe acute respiratory syndrome, SARS-CoV-2, causing a violent cytokine storm, where his own immune system attacked his lung tissue, leading to acute respiratory distress syndrome, ARDS. This resulted in severe hypoxemia, dangerously low blood oxygen, and widespread inflammation that overwhelmed his ventilators, a lonely and terrifying end, isolated from family due to quarantine protocols. He died on April 12, 2020, in Cookham, Berkshire, at the age of 79, a beloved figure taken by a historic plague. He was laid to rest in Cookham, Berkshire, England. Fun fact: Brooke Taylor went on to become a national treasure in the UK as one-third of the comedy trio, the Goodies, influencing an entire generation of surrealist comedians. His legacy is proving that even a machine cannot predict where the final golden ticket or life's joy will be found. Who's your favorite character from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory? It's always tough to say goodbye to beloved cast members who are no longer with us. How does that make you feel? Share your thoughts in the comments. If you're enjoying our content, be sure to subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated. We appreciate having you in our community.